Hey guys, welcome back. I made it back from Africa the night before last. I have a lot of video to show you guys, but it's going to be a lot of work to edit it. So today we wanted to talk about tools. And we want to talk about what the necessary tools are to have a successful, stress-free life on the road. We put together a decent toolkit over the last year and we wanted to share it with you guys in the hopes that maybe it will help somebody else compile their toolkit for their own vehicle.
Since we've been on the road for a year, we've had to do some miscellaneous home improvements and some minor repairs along the road, and we've also helped out some other people who we've encountered along our travels. Most of the time that we've started to do our repairs or home improvements, we've had the tools that we needed on hand. However, we have had to buy a few things along our way to fill out our kit. In general, we can divide our toolkit into 4 categories. We've got hand tools, power tools, recovery tools, and diagnostic tools. Let's start with hand tools since that's what we use most commonly and this is the bulk of our toolkit. You can see we've got everything laid out here in our friend's house. Thanks Sean and Jenny. Normally, this wouldn't really be feasible on like a normal day on the road for us because we'd be spread out in a parking lot or campsite or something and everything would be filthy and we'd be in people's way. Normally we live in a van, but for now we're in a house. So we've got a lot of basic hand tools like wrenches, sockets, screwdrivers, etc. So everyone's toolkit is going to look different, but we have some basic recommendations that I think will help and apply to everybody. Most importantly is to get good quality hand tools. The quality of the tool doesn't have to be top of the line, but it should match your skilled level. If you're very new to fixing things yourself, then you probably won't see any benefit from a $200 ratchet wrench, for example. A cheap ratchet will do just fine for your needs. However, if you're comfortable with more advanced wrenching techniques, then maybe higher-end tools would benefit you. If you're the kind of person that's comfortable with some more advanced wrenching techniques, then you may find that the cheap tools will break down before your skill level breaks down, if that makes sense. And you probably just generally enjoy having something that's more comfortable to use, more comfortable in the hand, a little bit more versatile, etc. Another recommendation is that it's not really necessary to carry tools that don't fit your, I was going to say van, but it could be an RV, it could be a trailer, it could even be a house in the traditional sense. There's no real need to purchase and store tools that don't fit any fasteners that you have. So for example, we don't really have any 14mm bolts or nuts in our van that I'm aware of. So we don't have a 14mm socket because what would I use it for? We also only have maybe a handful of SAE sized fasteners, so we only carry the applicable sockets and or wrenches for that hardware. We don't carry a full set because again, we don't need it and it just takes up space and adds weight that's really just dead weight. So that's a recommendation. Don't carry the tools that you're not going to use. Another thing to consider is multi-purpose tools and having redundancies. This is totally subjective. Everybody's gonna have a different opinion on it, and that's fine. So I've never found a multi-purpose tool that was good at any of the tasks that it was designed for, with the exception of this Leatherman. This is a wingman. I have recommended this tool so many times because it's excellent at everything and it's really convenient. Leatherman's not sponsoring us. They're not paying us. I bought this with my own money, but I just want to put the word out there that like if you are interested in a multi-tool, I'm generally not just because of my experience, but this is the one. It's got a Phillips screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, a knife which I've sharpened numerous times. It's still holding strong, and it's got good pliers with wire cutters in there, and it has a can opener and a file, and all of the tools that are in this thing are fantastic.
Next, we can move on to power tools. As you can see, we have DeWalt everything. We're not trying to tell you which brand to get, but our recommendation would be to pick a brand and stick with it. Then you can share batteries and you only need one charger, which saves space. We also have a DeWalt vacuum, so we can use that as well, and we don't need a separate charger for it. First up, we have a drill. This sees the most action. If you bring just one power tool, bring a drill. That's what you'll use the most. Next, we have 1/2-inch impact driver. This is what I use when I'm changing the tires. What?
How many times have you done that?
0. But if I wanted to, this would make it really easy to loosen up and tighten the lug bolts. Super speedy. Rob uses it all the time. Then we have the 3/8-inch driver. Not sure why, but it's small, so we carry it. Maybe it'll come in so handy someday. What? This doesn't get a lot of use, but it's fairly small, so we wanted to bring it with us, and we have it if we need it. Now we have this bone grinder. You never know when you're going to get in a situation where you have to cut off your own arm. Just kidding. I don't know why we have, but it's here. Why do we have this?
In case of emergency?
In case of emergency. You never know. And we have a spare blade just in case. Flashlight. Just in case you need to see when it's dark out. We don't use it a lot, but it's there if we need it. It's fairly small. Here's our charger. These are drill bits and a hole maker in case you need to make a bigger hole from the small holes. Here's some other drill bits for making the small holes to start. We did use this when we needed to reset the water filter. We didn't have a hole to access the reset button, so we needed to use the drills and the bigger hole maker tool to make a bigger hole. Is it okay?
Yeah. It's hard not to laugh directly into the camera.
And then we have this guy for those extra large bones. This is a circular saw. Don't worry, we're not chopping any bones. It's a long story why we have this with us. We don't really need it, but now we have it, and it's gonna come with us to South America, so it might see some use. We're thinking we might have to build a partition wall to separate our living space from the driving area when we ship the van to Colombia. So we can use this to make that partition. That's about it.
In continuing the theme of having tools that we hope we don't ever need, these are recovery tools. We've got a long strap here, and you can see it's still bound from the factories, which means we've never used this, which is good, I think. It feels like a waste of money, but it is relatively cheap insurance in case you ever get stuck. We did get stuck one time, but thankfully our savior had straps with them, so we didn't need to use our own. So we've also got shackles. This is a really nice kit that we got from ARB, and they make really high quality stuff, so we've got a couple of shackles here. These shackles are rated right on them, which is great. We've also got the instructions, because we've never had to use it. Good working gloves is nice to have when you are stuck. We have tire plugs and the tools to install them with in case we ever get a puncture in one of our tires. If we drive over a nail or something, we should be able to patch it ourselves, and we've got a compressor on board to fill the tire back up. So sometimes when you're off-road, like we are here, you need to let a little bit of air out of your tires to get some more traction. Sometimes it's all you gotta do in order to get unstuck if you're in some sticky situation. So we have this deflator tool. All this guy is a pressure gauge and a valve stem core remover tool. You can let air out of your tires without one of these by just pushing the valve stem cap into the valve, but the air comes out very slowly. So this screws onto the valve stem, and then this unscrews the core. And the air comes out much faster. And then, once we've got back onto pavement, and we need to fill our tires back up, we just come here under the hood, and we hook up to our air compressor. If you haven't seen our compressor video, you can click here, right? You can click here to watch that video. Lifting and tow straps are not all created equal. There's a ton of information out there online. I would just say that you should be aware of what you're buying before you buy it, and make sure that you get something that will work for your needs and understand how to safely use these, because it can be very dangerous. And you can cause severe injury, or you can just get more stuck, which would suck. It kind of defeat the purpose of having the strap, but understand how to use these before you get stuck. If you're going to have any recovery tool at all, have jumper cables. These see the most action out of all of our recovery tools because sometimes your battery just goes dead. When you're shopping for jumper cables, get some that have good alligator clips on the ends and also a large diameter conductor. These cables here, I don't even know when I got these, it was years ago, and these have been fantastic. I don't have to wait for the battery to charge from the jumping vehicle. As soon as these are connected with good solid connections on the batteries, the dead car will start right away. Most often these jumper cables are just used to help other people out. I don't think that we've killed the starting battery in our van since we've owned it, but we have used these quite a bit. We've also got an extension cord, which probably isn't really a recovery tool, but comes in handy sometimes, and we've got a single smaller cable that just has a loose end and an alligator clip here, which we can use to jump our house batteries off of our starting battery, which we have had to do a couple times.
Last but not least, we have our diagnostic tools. For us, that's mostly knowledge. It comes with time and knowing your vehicle. For instance, there was a period of time where we were out in Arizona, we were driving on the road, and every time we'd hit a bump, there was like a little knocking sound. To me, that wasn't right because it hadn't been there before. So we got out and checked all the bolts because it sounded kind of mechanical. And it was actually a loose bolt on the shocks. As soon as we tightened it up, we were good to go. Also, we have some computer software.
We also have DTS Monaco, which allows us to do further diagnostics as well as to reprogram control modules, which helps with repairs. Because it's appropriate for our van, we also have Zentry Diagnostics, which helps us to understand and interpret fault codes that the van may present with. And finally, we have access to Wiz, which allows us to read all of the documentation for repair procedures, as well as van maintenance. Now, the tools that you choose to get may be different because you've got a different vehicle. This wouldn't apply to, say, somebody living in a Ford Transit or any other vehicle. These are the things that we chose to get because it applies to our van. Your needs obviously may be different, and that's fine. But just something to think about. Get access to the tools that you need in order to maintain your vehicle and maintain a happy and healthy and safe life on the road. If you like this video, then like this video and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Definitely let us know what's in your toolkit down below in the comments because we're always looking to improve on our setup. And if you've got any questions, please reach out because we love to help. So, bye.